Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Got you. Hey, you're the Al Michaels of Canada. How about that? Because I read his book, and he goes, I live in L.A., but I'm a New Yorker. I'm a New Yorker, even though I live in L.A. You're a Winnipegger living in Toronto, and our Winnipeg viewers want your take on the Winnipeg Jets.
Now
History-making Winnipeg Jets.
There is a team that is rolling. The only thing I'm going to say is that you don't want to be the best team in December. It's good to be the best team right now. You know, you don't want to be the best team late November, early December. You want to be the best team in April. So you can't get hurt. They're playing great. I've known Scott Arniel since Scott Arniel broke into the NHL with Dale Howard-Chuck way back when they were World Junior teammates and junior teammates. And, you know, great winger at the time, has become a great assistant coach through the years, takes over there. I think he's got them playing believable hockey. Everybody believes in what they're doing. They're tight. They're sound defensively. They've got the best goalie in the world right now. That is also undeniable. I don't think anybody saw 14-1 coming, but it's hard to bet against them. Now, having said that, they're in New York tonight, right? And they got a tough little part of their schedule here, and so they've got some litmus tests coming. Not that any other game is a gimme, but you know, let's talk again closer to Christmas time when those dog days kind of set in. Will they only have one loss by then? I hardly think so, but I think right now, somebody last week, RP, there was some sort of power ranking in the NHL, and they actually had the Jets second. How can you have the Jets second? Like, are you watching? Are you watching? Because this team, they're doing it at every part of the game, every end of the ice, and they're getting world-class goaltending, and everybody's seeing that right now. So, okay, so you know what? That part of my birth certificate is talking right now. Go Jets. Go Jets, go.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
I saw Connor McDavid came out yesterday and said, the time is here, it's now or never. Broken record, Connor McDavid saying this, now's the time, it's now or never. I don't know, man. It feels to me like he's been saying it for a real long time. I don't believe anything I hear, ever. But it's just like the Cowboys and Ezekiel Elliott. I don't want to hear it. Go out and prove it. I don't care what they have to say. Is that just me?
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Nice intro, boys. That's a good one. It's very apropos, as they say, for what we're going to talk about today on a Football Friday. I hope you're ready for the weekend. But before that, 2 hours of some real fun football talk coming at you here on Game Plus, and a lot of hockey. A lot of hockey. NHL trade deadline day today. We got Blue Jays. We got NBA. Moose is in Toronto, where the Raptors are home tonight to the Utah Jazz, and the Blue Jays are playing the Yankees tonight. And oh my God, we got so many delicious things to talk about. And what's up, Moose? I feel like you already got something to say.
No, I mean, I'm ready. It's a great day. Going to get a lot of football in here. And, you know, I've been watching the trade deadline coverage, obviously. It's a fun Friday we're having so far.
Yes. You feel what I'm feeling. It is going to be fun here on Game Plus and streaming over the next 2 hours. But I'll say this before we get into the sports. Number one, Jim Barker is going to be with us an hour or two. That's going to be a lot of fun. And this morning, I got two neighbors, Harry and Ted. I saw them both this morning, as you know. And Ted has a message for everybody. He's originally from New Haven, but he lives here in Florida. And he was like, Rod, can you tell all of Canada that we're on their side? Or at least I'm on their side. He goes, I know that they're mad at the USA, but don't be mad at me. I'm on Canada's side. I'm like, oh, my God. Yes, Ted, I'll pass it along. He's a great guy. And then Harry, you've heard me talk about Harry. He's from New Jersey. He's a big football fan. And he says to me this morning, hey, Rod, where's Darnold going to sign? I'm like, well, Harry, you just came up with our poll question today. Harry's from New Jersey, but he now lives here in South Florida. Nobody's from here, really, you know, largely. A lot of transplants like myself. So that's from my neighbors, and they have a message to you all, and they're coming up with a poll question, so everything is actually good. But I don't want to talk about Trump. And I'm going to tell you right now, when this show's over, I've told my closest friends, don't even bother trying to call me after the show or text me or DM me, because I'm going into my bed, and I'm not leaving until tomorrow. And then I got a really fun Saturday and Sunday lined up with football, which we'll get into later here in the state of Florida. But I'm out. I can't. You can't escape the trade talk, the Trump talk, the Trudeau talk. But I'm going to. As soon as we're off the air today. Okay, can you hit the quick six show horn, please? Tuna.
Hell yes.
Look, a lot of this show is going to be dedicated to football, but we do this little thing called the warm-up every day, and it's the quick six show topics, and it opens with the big story, and the big story is hockey. I've lumped everything together, Darren, into the trade deadline plus last night's key games. The trade deadline in the National Hockey League is today at 3 p.m. The Colorado Avalanche swung a big deal last night, bringing Brock Nelson and William Dufour to Denver in a swap with the Islanders. Colorado sent Caleb Ritchie, Oliver Shillington, and 2 draft picks to New York in return. On the ice, Evan Bouchard's overtime goal gave the Edmonton Oilers a badly needed 3-2 win over the Montreal Canadiens last night. Mark Scheifele had a goal and 2 assists. Kyle Connor added a goal and a helper. And the Winnipeg Jets snapped a 3-game slide, beating Philly 4-1. And Jason Robertson scored twice, including in overtime, as the Dallas Stars rallied past the Flames 3-2. Those were just some of the games. I beat you last night. Sorry to say, Moose, 7-6 in our breakaway bets. We're very close. Always, every night, we're very close in our picks, but it was 7-6 for me. It's now 92-90 in the new year. So as we sit here and wait, and it's only a few hours away now, I'll be glad when it's over, and I'll tell you why, but I've talked enough. Your take on the trade deadline, the trades that have been consummated. 13, I think, is the total. 13 trades have been made already in the last 3 days, and last night's action on the ice.
Yeah, and we wait, and right now, I don't know if it's happened since I've been dialed in on the beginning of this show, but Mikko Rantanen. I think we're all waiting on Mikko Rantanen. You know, the trade talks apparently happening. There's a deal in place with Dallas, but we're waiting to find out if they can agree to a long-term contract. And now you're starting to look ahead to see if maybe he becomes, you know, the hottest free agent in July that we've had in quite some time. I mean, he would be a $14 million player in free agency, which is crazy. So that's what we're waiting on. Other names that have crazily come up. I mean, not crazy, but Braden Shen, we wonder if he'll go somewhere, maybe to Toronto. We're waiting on Brad Marchand's names coming up. So there's still some intrigue here over the next, 2 hours and 56 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, I got to stay out of the comments because there's good stuff coming in already. But this is supposed to be you and my time. Hang on, Tony and Cochran. We'll get to. I'll get to you. But on the trade deadline stuff, let me just say this. I discussed this with Clark this morning. It annoys me, and I checked out yesterday. Jared Dumba, who does sales for us, Jared does some sales for the RP show. He's like, you got any scoops? And I was at the rink last night, and I was sitting with Jeff Rimmer, the first ever voice of the Florida Panthers, and we were watching the Panthers in Columbus last night. There were no pro scouts there. The press box was empty. And Jeff is like, well, Dale Talon, he's with the Canucks people, and Jack, he's with the Jets people, and the normal guys that we see, they're with their teams. This is what they do at the trade deadline. I'm like, oh, okay. I've never really been in it in front lines like this, you know. But I said to Jared, I'm not sticking my nose in where it doesn't belong. Now, having said that, I think I have a mild CFL scoop as it refers to the commissioner. We're going to get to that later in this program.
How about that?
But I had to check out on the fake news because this morning I'm surfing my phone, as we all do first thing in the morning. Mikko Rantanen, Dallas and Carolina have agreed to a trade. Here, next post. No, they haven't. Here's Darren Dreger saying, no, they have not. Frank Saravelli saying, yes, they have. Elliot Friedman saying they have contingent on a trade. I'm like, this is stupid. I'm done. You're wasting my time. You're wasting my energy. Can 3 o'clock get here, please? Fast. The fake news. Now, producer Clark said he loves this. He goes, this is like reality TV. He loves it. And that's cool. We don't all think the same. We don't all like the same things. We don't all like the same girl, right? Life would be pretty boring if it was. But I'm very big on protecting my energy and all this. This happening, no, it's not. Yes, it is. No, I'm out until we get definitive news. Where are you on that?
I'm all about, you say protect the energy, which I'm here for. I think it's all about your expectations. Just don't sit and think that everything that we're hearing, all these rumors are set in stone, done. Don't take it to the bank. Don't start spouting off on social media. But I do think it's fun. I enjoy watching the coverage. It's what keeps these shows going all day long is, talking about what are you hearing? What are the possibilities? What might work? but we got to wait till 3 o'clock to find out what's actually for real. But I'm okay with it. I think it's entertaining.
I guess if you, I respect Clark's right and yours to enjoy the conjecture and the gossip and the hubbub. I just don't like it. I mean, imagine poor Logan Stankoven, who was told, I saw on Instagram that I'm being traded. Oh, no, you're not, Logan. Like the players should probably put their phones away. They should do what I'm going to do when the show's over today. Just shut everything out until, they get the actual call saying you've been traded, So, everybody's different. By the way, Jeff the Stamps fan writes in and says, oh, really? Who are you hearing, Rod, with regards to the next commissioner of the CFL? I said I'll address it later, so you just got to hang on. You just got to hang on. Regarding my neighbor Ted, who says, can you please tell all of Canada that I'm on their side, not with Trump? Tony says, good morning, Rod. Buy Ted a beer for me. Sounds like a great guy. He's an unbelievable guy. And if I can just tell you a little more about Ted from New Haven, he lives here. His wife lives there. He's retired. And he goes, I really miss football. He goes, my two sons were high school quarterbacks, and I just miss the Friday night lights. I just love going and watching my boys play high school football. And I said, well, hey, why don't you come down with me to Cardinal Gibbons High School? Here's the great thing. We don't have kids playing. We go every Friday. Come with me, Ted. And he's like, would you bring me? Absolutely. Darian Durant's going to come too. So, the only thing with Ted, I worry about Ted because at 8 o'clock in the morning, he's in the pool and he's got a can of Pepsi going. I'm like, I'll just mind my own business. Moving on to round 2. Point 2. Here's one for you. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. says his proposal for a long-term contract with the Toronto Blue Jays was for less than $600 million. In an interview with ESPN, the four-time All-Star disputed speculation he sought a deal similar to the $765 million 15-year contract that Juan Soto agreed to with the Mets. Vladdy, who turns 26 in a couple weeks, actually next week, agreed in January to a one-year, $28.5 million deal and can become a free agent after this season. He cut off talks on a long-term deal when he reported to spring training last month. Guerrero was quoted by ESPN in a report posted Thursday as saying he had asked for the same contract length as Soto, but we're talking about, quote, we're talking about many fewer millions than Soto, more than 100 million less. Guerrero noted that his last offer didn't reach $600 million and that he eventually lowered his request on the length of a deal to 14 years. So let's spend a minute on that because it came up yesterday. Vladdy, who has the leverage here? I don't know. I legitimately, the Blue Jays or Vladdy? Who has the leverage in this scenario?
It's a great question. I don't know. That's the answer is I don't know. I would say right now, Vladdy probably has a little more leverage, but leverage comes down to who's willing to walk away. And what I'm reading from this, just from the tea leaves and from, the stories and everything, is I think they both feel like they have leverage. I think they're both willing to walk away. By not getting the contract offer up, the Jays are clearly willing to let him go to free agency. And Vladdy, he's willing to walk if they don't pay him enough money. So I think they both think they've got leverage. We got a great big game of chicken happening. But I think Vladdy has it because star players just don't grow on trees like this. Now, yes, he's maybe underperformed a little bit in his early years. But again, he's still a fairly young ball player. So you're paying for ceiling. You're paying for this potential and all this and the star power of Vladdy, which he has. He has the star power. So I'll give him the edge.
We've seen this. I think you're right. We've seen this many, many times. It's a tale as old as time. But things are also changing in sport. What did I say? I heard on Pro Football Talk Radio this week, they were saying teams regret any instance of not paying the guy. They wish they had when the guy leaves. Look at Saquon Barkley. Perfect example, right, with the Giants and Saquon Barkley. And he got the money in Philadelphia. Came this close to setting an NFL single-season rushing record in the regular season and won a Super Bowl. They should have paid him. There's a great example right there. And if I can use a CFL parallel just to flip it. Well, here's the other thing. Vladdy's making $28.5 million this year. So as far as the money goes, It's not the same as the Canadian Football League, but my very close friend, Corey Sheets, came out of the 2013 CFL season as the Grey Cup MVP, primed to get the bag, but he was approaching free agency, and he jumped to the NFL, jumped at the money, popped his Achilles, as you may remember, in the last game of the preseason, and never played again. And he was like, I should have stayed because I shouldn't have jumped at the money. Now, I said to Corey, anybody's going to want to go to the NFL. But he's just saying I shouldn't have chased the bag. I should have stayed where I was wanted, where I had a home, where I loved my team. Is there a parallel with Vladdy with that at all? Maybe we don't know how much he loves the Blue Jays in Toronto. We don't know that, right?
Yeah, that's the one thing is, Jays fans, I know you get hard on players. Bo Bichette was underperforming and Vladdy and at times George Springer. But, fans are always going to get hard on players. But largely, Vladdy is loved in Toronto and in Canada. He's so recognizable. They love him. Forget about speaking English or not and that, challenge. They love him. They're all wearing his jerseys. They cheer when he comes up to the plate. He does all his things. You go somewhere else, LA, but we're talking about the New York Yankees or one of those markets, and you start underperforming and the walls start closing in because you haven't built that love with the fan base, that could be really tough. And you could sit there and be like, I should have stayed in Toronto. There could be a parallel.
It's contentious, Tony from Cochrane says, Vladdy has the leverage, just like Myles Garrett does with the Browns. You're probably right, Tony. And to be frank, I sit there and think about, sorry to bring up Trump, but when I look at his meeting with Zelensky and J.D. Vance the other day, and the way Trump was talking to him, regardless of who you thought looked like the biggest jackass in that, because throw a name in the air, you'd probably be right. But for Trump to say, you're not holding the cards here. You're not holding the cards here, just so you know that. It reminds me of a lot of meetings I've had with my bosses where, in retrospect, wait a minute, I was holding the cards, but he convinced me that I wasn't. Do you know what I'm saying? Shapiro and Atkins are going to convince Vladdy that he's not holding the cards, or they're going to try. So he'd better have a good agent. So that's I'm not the one to talk to about business negotiations. FYI. But that's why I got PTSD while watching the Trump-Zelensky video the other day. It took me back to a scary time.
Yeah. That's the one thing in all of this. There's so not that we're not going to go down the political road, but just for the last, point. Everybody's trying to bully everybody into their opinion. Trump's trying to bully Zelensky, and we're trying to bully people about which way we should vote. Well, what happens when you get bullied and yelled at like this, if you're doing it to me or me to you or whatever, when you go into that polling station and it's a cardboard cutout and you're by yourself, nobody's going to bully you. You're going to do what you want, finally. Forget about everybody else. And so Vladdy, I think about that. If you sit there and be like, trying to bully him in the media, when he gets the opportunity behind closed doors, you're like, okay, well, I'm just not signing. And people get really stubborn when that happens, right? And so it could be dangerous. You could be playing with fire here with Vladdy if you don't treat him well. And they've got a whole season to treat him well. And I think that they probably will. But yeah, if he gets upset, doesn't like the way he's being treated, quietly, he'll just go to free agency and sign with somebody else.
NHL and Blue Jays so far on a Football Friday. We got football coming up next, but more on these topics. And I'll tell you, the Progressive Insurance text line is open 902-518-3033. Switch to Progressive and you could save a bunch. We're live on the Game Plus television network, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hour one is brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, Last Breath, a heart-pounding film that follows seasoned deep-sea divers as they battle the raging elements to rescue their crewmate trapped hundreds of feet below the ocean's surface. Starring Woody Harrelson, Simu Liu, and Finn Cole catch Last Breath in Landmark Cinemas tonight. Moose went to it, I went to it, and it gets our RP show thumbs up from both. Oh, man. My heart was racing. And the hot dogs were amazing. From the text line, Progressive Insurance text line, Noni's watching in Calgary. She says, happy Friday, Rod and Moose. It's been a while since I've been able to watch you live. So looking forward to a great show. By the way, the glasses suit you. Keep having fun. Thank you, Noni. I was really looking forward to today's show because I just wanted to have fun and escape life. I hope that's what everybody's doing here. And these glasses, they're really growing on me, as they say. They're from Stanton Optical. They sucked me in with the get two pairs for $79 deal, Moose. I walked out with one pair for $500.
I was going to say, you'd be getting the frames, no lenses.
How about that?
Exactly. Don't. There's an Earl's has opened on Los Olas Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale. I'm planning on going there for supper tomorrow night, so I'm pretty excited about that. Earl. Darcy in Grand Prairie. I'm not reading the Trump comments, so I've skipped to the baseball comment. He says, I'd be ticked if I was Vlad and watch the Jays offer up $70 million or so a year to Soto and Ohtani. Yeah, I think we all agree on that. I don't know what the Canadian networks are doing. Sportsnet is the Blue Jays network, and I'm sure they're talking about this wall to wall. I don't know. I enjoy our discussion here because we don't have an agenda. We don't have the Blue Jays telling us what to say. And the more that we sit here and think about it, it's Vladdy's world, and we're all living in it. Elaine writes in from Victoria. She says, can we have your opinion, please, on the Oilers? Do you think they should look for two great big defensemen? And then she does a heart emoji. Quick one on the Oilers. I do not. I think they've got adequate defense core. Nurse, Ekholm, Bouchard, not Derek Ryan, but Kulik. That's a very good top four. Let's just get the Oilers to play 10 out of 10. The Panthers, by the way, are rounding into that form. Did you see any of the talk last night after them whitewashing Columbus Moose 3-0? People are like, look out for the Panthers. They're sharpening the knives now. Hey, Oilers, you might want to start doing the same. Go ahead.
For the first time since, I don't know, since the Stanley Cup was handed out, the Oilers are not the Stanley Cup favorite anymore going into the deadline. And I just saw this yesterday. First time since the Panthers won, I think the Oilers were the Stanley Cup favorite the next day. And they have been right throughout. But now Florida's passed them. I don't know if Tampa passed them too in terms of Stanley Cup favorites from the sports books. And then the other one I saw in the commercial break, you'll like it because I know you're a fan. Dylan Cousins is out of Buffalo and he's on his way to Ottawa. Josh Norris in a trade the other way. So Dylan Cousins, I think I said Vancouver in my column, but Dylan Cousins off to Ottawa. Josh Norris, part of the deal going the other way.
The workhorse from Whitehorse probably kissed the ground outside whatever the rink is in Buffalo. I think it's the Key Bank Center. Like, see you later. Jeremy from Winnipeg writes in and says, Oilers had what they needed and let them go. Holloway and Broberg. They had the decision to keep them. Let's remember that. They had that choice. John in Edmonton writes in and he says, Rod, Sportsnet's doing Hockey Central trade deadline for another 2 hours and some minutes. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I don't tell them what to do. You got to give the people what they want. Look what the questions are that are coming in here. They have to do with hockey on a Football Friday, which incidentally, we're going to switch to football right now. But Jeff the Stamps fan says, what's more exciting, NHL trade deadline day or CFL trade deadline day? Well, bro, as you know, most 99.9% of Canadian sports fans don't even know what the CFL trade deadline is or the fact that they even have one. And one year we did plan wall-to-wall coverage with me as the voice of the Rough Riders. There was one trade. It was Tyler Krapinja for Jerome Messam, Calgary and Sask, which ended up being a massive trade that affected both teams mightily, but it was one trade. So I hope you don't seriously think it's even close because they're not in the same stratosphere. Okay, to football. Russell Wilson, 0.3, still has plenty of cooking left to do in the NFL. Where he ends up doing it is a mystery heading into free agency next week. Wilson seemingly had found a home in Pittsburgh until a 5-game losing streak to end the season left his future in doubt. The Steelers are considering retaining Wilson or Justin Fields, who went 4-2 for them, and will also be a free agent. Aaron Rodgers and Sam Darnold are also available, veterans for the 6 teams that don't have a starter. Meanwhile, drafting Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders would answer the need for a franchise quarterback for 2 of the teams. So back to where we started the program today. My neighbor Harry says, hey, Rod, where do you think Darnold's going to sign? And I'm like, I have no idea. Who needs a quarterback? He goes, everybody. So that's our poll question today for our friends at EMJ Marketing. Throw it up, boys. Transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information, emjmarketing.com. So the options we came up with as a landing spot for Sam Darnold, coming off a fantastic year with the Minnesota Vikings, but not having re-signed nor been franchise tagged by the Vikings. Vikings are an option. Darren wanted to include that. His former team, the New York Jets, we put in there. The Tennessee Titans, who need a quarterback, and are drafting number 1 overall. Or other. I'm going to tell you, I voted other only because I have no idea. Actually, the answer is, I think, the team that'll give them the most money. That's the answer. I should have made that an option.
Yeah, probably should have. I'm going to vote the Minnesota Vikings. I asked them to be put in the poll because I'm going to vote for them. I would have voted for other if they weren't in the poll. The Vikings, because that's where he should end up. It was a great fit. And this is a lesson in life, in football, and in sports. Don't mess with a good thing. When things are good, stay where things are good. It's not, you can't just recreate things somewhere else and expect them to work out the same way. He's found a great fit with that offense. He's found a great fit with that city. He's found a great fit with that coach. Those things all matter. It's got a good fit with Justin Jefferson, your weapons. It's all working. You got all the green lights. Stay where things are good. And if you're the Vikings, you know this works. You'd like J.J. McCarthy, but you haven't seen him play with your group, so you don't know. Go with what you know. Go with what works. Stay with Sam Darnold.
The football people, fans, have really come out of the woodwork here. And it is a football Friday. Full disclosure, I couldn't wait to get to football talk today. If you want NHL trade deadline coverage, well, we'll be talking about it later, but not that much. We do football here on Fridays. Carlos in Indianapolis beat me to the punch. He wrote it and said, but which team will give him the most money? Because that's the answer. And it's funny because the Vikings were never going to franchise tag him because he's not I guessed that it would be like $50 million. You must have seen the reports. Had they franchise tagged him, it would have been between $35 and $40 million per season. They paid him 10. That's what they paid him last year. They were never going to franchise tag him. I don't know why anybody threw that out as an option, A. And B, does it not bother you that the players have no choice? Like if the team slaps the franchise tag on you, you have to take it. What if you didn't want to play there? What if it was a horrible situation? You know you could go make more money elsewhere. That seems like a very archaic football bylaw, you know?
A little bit. It does. But that's why the players negotiated. Like the PA, when they negotiated their collective bargaining with the league, this is part of it. And part of it means, okay, you can only have these limited franchise tags. You can only franchise tag me a limited number of times. So we've protected us that way. And you have to pay us like one of the best players at the position. So at least if you're going to franchise tag somebody and force me to stay, you're going to pay me a lot of money. And so that was the hook for Darnold. I think, he would have been okay being franchise tagged because it would have meant a big payday. Maybe they were looking to pay him somewhere in the $20 to $30 million range. That would be more appropriate. One good year isn't enough for me to want to give you a long-term deal at $40 million a season. But you do this again after another year, hey, maybe the paycheck is coming.
That's the question. Where will he sign? Tony in Cochrane writes and he says, other, because I would like to see him in Cleveland. I just love the fact that he resurrected his career. My God, who doesn't love a great comeback story? By the way, Shy in Saskatchewan's watching. He said, regarding my new glasses, he says, Rod, you're lucky you didn't grow up with pop bottle lenses. Also, you did have to pay $1,000 a pair. He's talking about the U.S. exchange. I'm living in America. I'm not paying Canadian dollars. But I'll tell you, what I realized when I got these orthopedic shoes, these funny-looking shoes, and these progressive glasses, they used to call them bifocals, I thought exactly that. Am I ever lucky that I got into my 50s before I had to worry about wearing glasses or special shoes because I've got painful bursitis? I'm lucky. I'm lucky. And I felt bad for the people that haven't had that in their whole life. That's the way that I look at things. Moving on, I don't think about the bad things. I think about how lucky I am for the good things. Hour one is for Culligan. Drink clean, live green. Filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit CulliganRegina.com. The Dallas Cowboys created nearly $57 million in salary cap space by restructuring the contracts of star quarterback Dak Prescott and his top receiver CeeDee Lamb. It remains to be seen what the wiggle room will mean next week in free agency, where the Cowboys have been conservative at best in recent years. The restructuring of Prescott's $240 million four-year contract, the first in league history that paid $60 million a year, carved out almost $37 million in cap space. And that came a day after the Cowboys created $20 million in cap space with a restructure of CeeDee Lamb's $136 million four-year deal. Next up, Micah Parsons, looking to get paid. We got to take a break here, so I'm just going to throw this topic out. I want you and the viewers to think about it, Darren. Cowboys can't figure it out. I honestly believe this. When these teams are signing whopping contracts for whatever reason, and then turn around and restructure them, and we see that in the CFL too, it's because they haven't figured it out. That CeeDee Lamb deal went into, I'm trying to remember. It was Dak. Well, I'm the Cowboys fan. It was the morning of the week one game. They got Dak's deal done, and CDs went well into training camp. And now they turn around and got to restructure the deal. And I'm sorry, the BC Lions had to do the same thing with Nathan Rourke. The Boston Bruins, man, hockey for whatever reason doesn't seem to do this. That's the difference in the leagues. But like Jeremy Swayman's deal, right? It went right down to the day before the first day of the regular season. And by the way, where are the Boston Bruins? Where are the Dallas Cowboys? And meanwhile, you got Bill Zito doing deals way, way, way in advance. He knows what his budget is. Everybody's happy. Everybody knows where they stand. So I would say this, put this to you, Darren. And as a matter of fact, I won't even ask for a response. Think about it and answer it when we come back. Who are the teams that are ahead of the curve and aren't having to restructure deals? It's the teams that are, winning. We'll be back in a moment here on a Football Friday on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house. Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Sports fans, join the Rod Squad newsletter today. Stay ahead of the game with exclusive insights, updates, contests, and exclusive content delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up for free today at rodpeterson.com. It's got Moose's column in it, our 10 WHL Things column, Scruffy's This and That, some betting advice, hot takes of the week. And it's the only place you'll get my 10 Weekend Things column. And I'll tell you, Jeff the Stamps fan, I don't want to make you wait anymore. My tidbit of rumor, and to be honest, it's a good one. Darren knows it. For who could be the next commissioner in the CFL, it's going in the newsletter. I'm not telling you here now.
How about that?
Sign up for free at rodpeterson.com for the newsletter. It's going to be in there, what I'm hearing for the next commissioner of the CFL. Couple things. Breaking news. Clark informing me, and I saw it too in the break, that Mikko Rantanen is indeed heading to the Dallas Stars. I haven't seen who's going the other way, but his contract extension, his new deal will be 8 years, $12 million per season. So all those guys that were reporting it was done, then they said it wasn't done, they were very close, but that's happening. And Dylan Cousins out of Buffalo going to Ottawa today. Josh Norris going the other way. So yeah, we'll keep on top of the NHL trade deadline trades as it nears for 3 p.m.
Yeah, well, it's interesting in the break, and Clark alerted us when we were coming back. I'm channel flipping, and I love them both. Probably lean to watch a little more TSN, but I'm watching Sportsnet. They've got it. Breaking news, Rantanen's been traded. No details yet, but he's been traded. I go to TSN, and they're saying it's not done yet. No trade yet, but we're waiting on it. So they're not saying it's done yet, but it sounds like, it's done. So to your point, we got to wait till 3 o'clock till this stuff's officially official, I guess.
That's all good. John checks in. He says, show me the money. Trade deadline day. Okay. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, what newsletter? Oh, I don't know. We only promo it every fleeping day on this show. Sports fans, join the Rod Squad newsletter today. Stay ahead of the game with exclusive insights, updates, contests, and exclusive content delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up for free today at rodpeterson.com. I feel like the Motor City Mad Mouse, Scott Morganroth. I just said it coming out of the last freaking break. And you're saying, what newsletter? I've told you twice in the last 2 minutes. That newsletter.
Scan the QR code.
Sign up for free today. Bingo. Okay. So on the restructuring of deals, I hope you thought about it because I said I was going to put you on the tee. Jeremy, Rider fan, writes in. He says, I'd laugh with all the restructures, and Jerry did nothing in free agency like last year. He's talking about the Dallas Cowboys. I thought he was talking about the Rough Riders. I got Jerry confused for Jeremy. Tony in George Fox Country says, Dallas and Cleveland, both idiots. At least Dallas has $56 million in cap space. Browns had to restructure Deshaun Watson's deal, so they weren't $23 million over the cap. So that's what I'm saying. They haven't figured it out. It's embarrassing. What do you think?
Yeah, and here's the thing. The good teams will never have to restructure contracts because the players are largely living up to the contracts. When you sign big deals like that and the players they underperform, then the ownership has leverage. We're talking about leverage today. The ownership has leverage to go back and say, you're not living up to your end of the bargain. We can't afford your contract. So we're going to think about cutting you, but we really like you to stay. So let's restructure this deal, But when you win, how does an owner go in and say, Rod, you just won us the Super Bowl, but we'd like you to play for a little cheaper. You're like, go to hell. I just won. I'm holding up my end of the bargain here, So there's no structuring. The winning teams have players under contract that play to their contract reasonably, and everything lives in harmony. But when you overpay and underperform, then you got to walk it back and have those conversations and be like, oh, we made a mistake. We got to restructure here. And the merry-go-round keeps going around.
Well, and that's my point, is some teams get it and some teams don't. You don't see Kansas City announcing restructuring deals. As a matter of fact, they just announced they got their guard signed ahead of free agency. And it's funny because when I first started in the CFL, I was the hockey guy, and they were all mad that I would relate everything to hockey. Now here I am, hockey primarily, relating everything to the CFL. But I'm not going to name names, but there are certain guys that aren't in the CFL anymore that couldn't figure out the salary cap era. They couldn't figure it out. And they became dinosaurs, and they aren't in the league anymore. You know what I mean? Like, there's a way of doing business, and I just feel like Jerry Jones has been left in the dust. And I don't know what that conversation is like. I mean, what were you doing giving Dak Prescott $60 million a year in the first place? It goes back to that chat with Brian Burke yesterday, or whatever day we were talking about it. He was on NHL radio. This is where the sports, the concepts are the same. Burke's like, teams get confused with how good they are, and they fall in love with their own players, right? As much as Jerry Jones is a narcissist, I think he really likes Dak Prescott. I believe he does. Everybody in Dallas seems to love Dak Prescott. Just one problem: he doesn't win. And that's why it used to be the role of the consultant. And I still think there are guys that are working as consultants, the Parcells, CFL terms, the Tom Higgins. I think Berkey's probably, I would hope he's doing it in the NHL. Some guy that's looking from 50,000 feet down on your organization that has no bias. It's a very valuable, with the Rough Riders, I can tell you this, they didn't have, sometimes they had a consultant, sometimes they didn't. Our bad teams did not. What do you got? You guys got something for me, Clark? Somebody keeps tapping my mic. Okay, Luke Shen to the Winnipeg Jets. Thank you. Weren't you saying both the Shen boys to the Jets, Darren, you were hoping for?
No, I was hoping for Braden Shen to Toronto. That was on the list as a fit. I had heard Luke would be interested in being moved around. He just got moved to Pittsburgh, and now he's off to Winnipeg. I like Luke Shen in Winnipeg. That's a big win for the Winnipeg Jets. Congratulations.
That is a huge win. Two-time Stanley Cup winner Luke Shen of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. All right, I like this. Corey Patterson checking in. Where you been, Patty? From Tallahassee, Florida, and the Hockey Club podcast. That's the name of his podcast. He says, Rod, finally repping gear from the official NCAA program of the RP show, the Florida State Seminole. Welcome to the Knoll Squad. Thank you, Patty. We gotta get caught up. Yeah, we all got Miko ranting into Dallas. We opened this segment talking about it, guys. I appreciate it. We're letting Clark handling the breaking news in our ears. I like everybody writing in and telling us, but I'll defer to Clark. Regarding who can figure out this new cap, well, it's not new cap world, but things are changing. The cap's going up. The entry-level contracts need to be shortened, right? Because you got guys like CeeDee Lamb walking out with a year or two left on their first deal, right? Jeremy in Winnipeg says the Patriots were the best cap wizards. Yes, Belichick and Lombardi, and they've been punted out of the league. It's a crazy time. Moose, make it stop. I'll see you back here in hour two, okay?
All right, check in a bit.
We're covering it all. NHL trade deadline. We got all the trades here. We got a sports update coming up. Jim Barker in hour 2, which, by the way, if you want to get me your questions now, please do on the Progressive Insurance text line for JB. 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. It's for Progressive Insurance. Switch to Progressive, and you could save a bunch. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television across Canada and 32 U.S. states. You see here in Florida. They're watching us up on the Panhandle. Streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcast.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Broadcasting live from that beautiful building. Yeah, it's a fact. 4400 North Federal Highway, Boca Raton, Florida. We got our South Florida people checking in. George Baburis writes, "Hey, Rod, happy Friday. Hope you're doing well today." I'm doing great, man, but I'm ready for the weekend. George, how about you? More importantly, how you doing, George? Thank you. Allie in Texarkana writes in. She says, "Hey, RP and squad, waiting to see if Jim gets this deal done and what we gave up. Hopefully it's not Stankoven or Maverick." She's referring to Jim Nill, the general manager of the Dallas Stars. That's the thing. We've all heard Mikko Rantanen's going from the, as you're looking at it, Carolina, to Dallas, but we haven't heard who the Stars are sending up to the Hurricanes. Woo! Daniel writes in, he says, what are the Canucks going to do today? Probably nothing. Well, I see they shipped Carson Soucy to the Rangers last night, and that tells me that, unless I'm wrong, where's the Vancouver fans at? That tells me they're waving the white flag on the season, the Vancouver Canucks. For a third only, which surprised me. Shy writes in, he says, one thing that makes Rod choke up is talking about the Eagles. Don't worry about me and the Eagles, Shy. You won the Super Bowl. Can you just be happy with that and not have to be annoying? How about that? Oh, they got Tanev? Ooh, Jeff in Yorkton. Thank you, Jeff in Yorkton. He initially wrote in and says, Rantanen into Dallas. Now he says it looks like the Jets are making some moves. Tanev now as well. They're getting Brandon Tanev from Seattle. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. We got a lot to talk about next hour when the Moose joins us. John Ohm's excited. He says, woohoo, big win for the Winnipeg Jets, baby. Welcome to the club, Luke Shen. Chevy is all in. Oh, yeah, this fires up a dressing room. When your general manager is out there putting it all on the line to make you better as a team, it fires up the players. What are the Leafs doing, Clark? Do you have a sound effect for that? Apparently, they just traded for Scott Laughton.
How about
Not to be confused with Scott Lachlan, Scott Laughton from the Philadelphia Flyers. Stanley Cup, here we come. A heavy gym sports update. The Toronto Raptors carry a 2-game win streak into tonight's home game against Utah. The Jazz have lost 3 straight and are last in the NBA's Western Conference. Toronto starters R.J. Barrett and Jakob Poeltl are set to sit out for rest purposes. The Raptors host Washington Saturday night. The qualification round of the Montana's Brier goes today in Kelowna. Manitoba's Matt Dunstone faces Saskatchewan's Mike McEwen at Canada's Men's Curling Championship, while Team Canada's Brad Gushue, who's aiming for a 4th straight Brier title, plays Alberta's Brad Jacobs. The winners advance to Saturday's 1-2-page playoff game. And by the way, we learned this morning from our good friend Devin Haru from the CBC, it's been ruled upon if Mike McEwen wins the Brier this year, it will as a wildcard team, it will officially end the Saskatchewan drought. I feel like it's happening. I feel it in my bones. The sports update is for Heavy Gym. Heavy Gym isn't just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. And also brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. At Landmark Cinemas now, The Monkey. When twin brothers Bill and Hal find their father's old monkey toy in the attic, a series of gruesome deaths start. Starring Tatiana Maslany and Theo James, The Monkey in Landmark Cinemas now. I might actually go to that tonight. I said that I was going to turn my phone off and be unavailable from the end of this show till tomorrow, and that may be still the case, but I may be doing it at the movie theater. But you got to love Boca Raton, Florida, where I went there for the 11:20 a.m. show on Sunday. Packed. 11:20 a.m. because it's Boca. Hour 2 coming up, and Jim Barker's part of that right after this.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
I saw Connor McDavid came out yesterday and said, the time is here, it's now or never. Broken record, Connor McDavid saying this, now's the time, it's now or never. I don't know, man. It feels to me like he's been saying it for a real long time. I don't believe anything I hear, ever. But it's just like the Cowboys and Ezekiel Elliott. I don't want to hear it. Go out and prove it. I don't care what they have to say. Is that just me?
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah. That's good. It's good. What do you got for me? You saying something, Clark? It's a very exciting day. NHL trade deadline, football Friday. We got a lot of topics in the air. We've been talking Vladdy. We'll run through the topics in a moment. The Moose is with us. He's in Toronto, where I just saw Steve Dangle, that everybody's excited about Steve Dangle. He's like, Brad, what are you doing? I'm here for it, Darren. You know this is Christmas for hockey fans. There's no two ways about it. They're watching us all over Canada on Game Plus television, but also in 32 U.S. states. The hockey fans are here to talk, and I will tell you that in the next segment, we will not be talking hockey because Jim Barker will be with us, 5-time Grey Cup champion. And I will just say this before we jump back into this NHL trade deadline stuff. We got to talk about it. Everybody's talking about it. I did get some news this morning on the CFL commissioner search. It's going to drop in the 10 Things, the Rod Squad newsletter this weekend. So sign up for free now at rodpeterson.com. You'll also get Darren's column, Scruffy's column, betting advice, hot takes of the week, the 10 WHL Things column from Glenn Erickson. But more than anything, it's the only place that you can get my 10 Things column. And I got some CFL tea on the commissioner search. Jeremy in Swift Current writes in, Jeremy Huckalick, his nickname's Huck. It says, it's Huck in Swift Current. Do you think the Flames will do anything to make a playoff push? Well, they got what now, Darren? 2 hours, and they have done nothing from what I can see. Let's just walk this back for a second. The breaking news, Mikko Rantanen going from Carolina to Dallas. We still don't know who's going to Carolina, but Mikko Rantanen's out of Carolina, is going to Dallas. Carson Soucy, we just talked about, that went last night, but Vancouver to the Rangers. Luke Schenn going to the Winnipeg Jets. You mentioned Dylan Cousins, shipped out of Buffalo to Ottawa. I feel like a weatherman here as I look at the map. Going from Ottawa to Buffalo, Josh Norris. And that's just a few. We're also hearing Brandon Tanev from Seattle to Winnipeg, so Chevy's getting active. This has been pretty wild, man. Dreg said it yesterday. This has had the most intrigue in years.
Yeah, it really has. It's been so much fun and so much intrigue. You're right. The Leafs getting into it. The Jets are doing things to retool. The Oilers did a little bit the other day, but they don't really have the cap space. They're going to have to be really creative, and they're using that long-term injury reserve that Evander Kane is on for the Oilers. And I put in my column that if I had a wish list for the Calgary Flames, it would be to acquire draft picks, use their cap space to get some draft picks. If anything, they want to stay playing meaningful competitive games down the stretch, but they don't want to be buyers trying to just sneak into the playoffs. I mean, that is not a recipe for success. I know you made the Stanley Cup final as a 8 seed or whatever it was when they did make it. Teams have done that before, but that's not typically that's not the game plan.
I'm going to tell you something before we hit the quick six show horn. So get ready, guys. This is what we've been talking about. But George Baburis is watching here in South Florida. He asked how I was doing. I said, more importantly, how are you doing, George? And he responded. He says, doing great now. You brighten the day, Rod. That's what we want to do here. I'm sick. I couldn't barely walk out of my house today without hearing about Trump, although it was positive. My neighbor, Ted, said he wanted all of you in Canada to know that he's on Canada's side, not Trump's side. But don't hate on the U.S. That's where the anthem booing gets murky, because it offends Americans that don't like Trump. But also, you do you. You pay your ticket money. You do whatever the hell you want. But I just want to have fun today for the next hour, and then I'm excited for the weekend. Got some fun things planned. Can you guys hit the quick six show horn, please? What we've been talking about is NHL trade deadline stuff, the trades that have been made, the trades we were waiting on. And to be honest, the Mikko Rantanen trade was the one we were all waiting on. It's happened, but there continue to be more. I'm fascinated by this Luke Schenn to Winnipeg and Brandon Tanev to Winnipeg deal. Just better is better. We talked about Vladdy. I saw people writing in here with all the details of Vladdy. Hey, bro. We talked about it with topic number 2 in the quick six show topics. Vladdy saying, hey, the figures are wrong that I asked for from the Blue Jays. And we got into this very good discussion of who has the leverage here, Vladdy or the Blue Jays, and we kind of settled on the fact that Vladdy has it. And what I love about this show is that Sportsnet would never tell you that. And I love Sportsnet. I actually worked there for quite a number of years. Or at least it felt like quite a number of years. But I love those guys. But they basically are owned by the Blue Jays. So they can't have the discussions that we can have. Vladdy has the leverage here. Sportsnet wouldn't want you to think that or know that. We talked about NFL pieces, and trade deadline or free agency is starting next week. And I get a kick out of this. Shy in Saskatchewan writes in and says, Rod, can't help it if you're cheering for a poor team, the Cowboys. We got more Super Bowls than you, so back off. Talked about the Raptors home tonight. We talked about the Brier, and I did drop the term, Moose, the breaking news that if Saskatchewan's Mike McEwen wins as a wild card team in the Brier this year, it will end officially the Saskatchewan drought that dates back to 1980. That's a landmark ruling, but I'm not going to spend any more time on that, because it is a football Friday. Okay, do you want to do NHL picks now? We should do that for tonight.
Yeah.
If you're down.
Let's do it.
I beat Moose narrowly last night, 7-6 in our straight-up NHL pick'em, and it's 92-90 in the new year. Here we go tonight. Detroit at Washington. Who do you like?
I'll take the Capitals tonight.
Me too. Am I correct in saying Ovi's 9 from tying Gretzky, 10 from breaking the goals record? It is insane what he's done. Winnipeg at New Jersey. I got Winnipeg.
I'll take New Jersey tonight.
Okay. Utah at Chicago.
Give me Utah.
Perfect. I'll take Chicago because Spencer Knight's going to stand on his melon. Pittsburgh at Vegas tonight.
It's the Golden Knights.
Yeah, me too. They're really, they're a wagon. Minnesota at Vancouver.
Ooh, good game. Give me Minnesota tonight.
Me too. I think Vancouver, by getting rid of Carson Soucy, that's raising the white flag, isn't it? Or am I wrong?
I don't know if it is or not. I don't know that they're all that confident, though, that they're going to be able to make a run. So it's a little bit of
That's
that.
what's confusing now. Yeah, like Colorado ships away Mikko Rantanen, and we all know why. And I kind of thought, well, maybe they're giving up on the season. No, they're just giving up on him.
Yeah.
Because they got Martin Nikas the other way and now Brock Nelson. So it's exciting. It's exciting because you don't want the same doldrum stuff. But it is confusing to stay on top of. And the St. Louis Blues, by the way, they went in and won in L.A. the other night. Didn't they win in Vegas too? The Blues are rolling. I'll take them to win at Anaheim tonight. Where are you?
Yeah, I'll take the Blues too. Why not?
Okay. That's our breakaway bets. We do it every day. It's sport betting, y'all, where we don't put money on it. We put lunch on it at the Golden Corral. From the crowd regarding the Rod Squad newsletter, Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, okay, Rod, I signed up, so I have to wait for Sunday? Yeah, you do. You do. I said I got tidbits on the CFL commissioner search. I'm going to put it in the newsletter. Sign up for it for free. It drops on Sunday. You can think of something else, Jeff. Think of something else over the next 2 days. You'll be fine. He also says Eric Francis from Sportsnet predicted the Flames will do something. We'll see. From what I understand, the Flames management are all holed up in a Dallas hotel. Their scouts are there, their brain trust. We'll see what they do. But, by the way, Huck and Swift Current asked if I thought they were going to do anything. I think you and I agree they shouldn't do anything. Craig Conroy's done everything right. Don't screw it up now, Connie. That we're in agreement on that, right?
Yeah, I think so. You could do something small if you wanted, but, take on a veteran player with a higher cap hit, on an expiring deal and take a draft pick. But yeah, don't be selling or don't be buying. Don't be buying.
Don't be doing anything. You're in a playoff spot in year one of a rebuild. Way ahead of schedule. Just be happy with the way it's going because they're doing everything right. I think breaking that up would be fatal. John Ohm says, what teams are the biggest winners at the trade deadline? John, can we wait till the trade deadline's over to determine that? Jesus Christ, you give me anxiety.
How about that?
You get it, right? Like, can we wait until the trade deadline's over?
Monday.
For the love of Pete. What do you got going on this weekend? I never even asked. Are you on a television screen across Ontario somewhere?
I'm not this weekend. I'm actually have a bit of a break. I'll be on the air a week from today. And then I'm going to be on some OHL playoff coverage. So I'm excited about that.
Okay. Well, let's slow this down for a second. And it's 1:11 Eastern, by the way. Maybe that's a good thing. Let's slow down. Everything's moving too fast. I said I might go to a movie tonight. I'll probably go to that one I've been reading, the Toy Monkey. Have you gone to that one?
No. I thought it was a little bit of a scary movie, and scary movies I'd have to go to by myself.
Why?
She won't go.
Okay. Well, it's funny. It's called The Monkey, not Toy Monkey, but it's funny you say that because there's an Earl's has opened here. I was saying this last hour, and it's on Las Olas Boulevard. in Fort Lauderdale, and I think I'm going to go up there for supper Saturday by myself. And I just saw a thing the other day. Somebody said the boldest thing you can do in life is to go out for a meal alone. I'm like, honey, that isn't even in the top 500 boldest things you can do. I feel like it is a luxury to be able to go out for a meal alone. Because you're so afraid what somebody might think that you're sitting alone. Oh, my God, grow a set of balls. If you were to go to Earl's in Fort Lauderdale, what would you order? I already know what I'm going to order.
You do, eh? What's my... I don't know off the top of my head. I'm not as familiar with the Earl's menu.
There's only one thing I like there, and I love it. The Hunan Kung Pao. Would you like chicken or shrimp?
That's Leanne's favorite,
chicken,
too, speaking of that.
So good. Yeah, it's great. I can't get enough of it. That's what I will be having. Shy in Saskatchewan says, Rod, you don't have to go to the Monkey. You are one. Oh, boy. Well, I asked for it. Hoorah! Allie in Texarkana says, I went to see the Monkey really bad. Okay, I trust you, Allie. Then there's 87 movies showing here, so I'll find another one. Like I say, 11:20 in the morning, theater packed. The Late Show starts at 4. It's Boca Raton. BW in Edmonton writes and says, Rod suggested roast beef sandwich at Husky. Good choice. Listen, I know my roadside truck stop diners, man. I like the back of my hand. Roast beef with the gravy. Oh, yeah. Husky. If you ever want to know, I'm not obviously interested in doing it again in my life. You know, that was traveling on the bus all across Western Canada. You've done it. You've done it. You know those same places. Some of them you were with me. It was great.
For sure.
At that period of my life. Jeremy in Winnipeg says, eating alone is so peaceful. Right? I mean, again, I shouldn't and I don't want to judge, but for somebody to say the boldest thing you can do is go out for a meal alone, I'm like, guy, you haven't lived. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, I go out for breakfast alone all the time. Oh, breakfast. Where do we start? Humpty's is usually like my go-to. You know, I love Ricky's. This is in Canada. Here, obviously there's a million here too. George in Florida says, Moose and Rod looking sharp as always. Hey, you got us, George. You don't have to butter us up. You got us. We're fine. But thank you. Okay, Darren, we're done. And do you have any football questions for Jim Barker before we move in? Canada's coach.
Well, just ask him about, Sam Darnold. And I said this last hour when we were talking about it. I said, stay where things are good. The grass is not always greener. Fit matters, right? Coach, community, organization, all that works for him. It finally lined up. Stay. Does he believe? I assume that Jim believes the same mantra, that you can't just plug every player in and expect it to work in different places.
You never know. Don't ever assume what somebody else is thinking. That's why we'll ask him. But yes, 5-time Grey Cup champion Jim Barker's coming in next. Have a great weekend, Moose. Thanks for all your efforts.
Hey, have a good weekend.
We'll be back in a moment on this Football Friday. We're coming at you live across Canada and 32 U.S. states on your television. Game Plus TV network. We're also streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcast.
Sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hour 2 is brought to you by Culligan Water of Regina. Clear water, clear choice. Filter out the bad and taste the good. The CFL Combine's coming to the Queen City March 21st to the 23rd. Jim Barker will be there, and he joins us now. Bo in Saskatoon writes in, he says, sweet, I thought I missed the coach. Thought I'd have to rewatch to be able to watch live today. This is awesome. Yeah, you got him live and in color. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing fantastic. Fantastic.
Good to hear. Well, for all of Canada going nuts, well, most of Canada going nuts with the trade deadline, for the football fans, they're here today wanting to talk some ball. And more than anything, I guess, what's keeping you busy? What's got your attention the most right now, football-wise?
Well, I'm getting ready for the draft, which it means getting ready for the combine. So I'll watch film on every player. Now, they're not doing a live stream this year. Usually I get to announce the live stream and can give a little background to the fans on every player that comes up and, you know, what I think their chances of making it. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm going through and evaluating every player because we'll be doing the draft show on April 27th on TSN. And, you know, it's important to have that knowledge. So there's a lot of players. There's 60-some players. And to watch film and write evaluations on every guy so you don't forget, that's kind of where my time is. 11 new players from the combine I was at last week in Waterloo are going to Regina. So, you know, and you know, in Regina, there's going to be a lot of fans there. So that's going to make it a lot more fun. And I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a fun week, or 3 days anyway, 4 days.
Yeah, there's no doubt it is a lot of fun to watch live for sure for the fans. Hey, with the NFL draft coming up in late April, the two Canadian names I'm hearing the most are Curtis Rourke, obviously, and Elik Ayamaner out of Stanford, the receiver from Medicine Hat. Where do you realistically think Curtis Rourke goes?
Well, because of the injury, I'm going to say 4th round. Could be 5th round. Without the injury, I think he could have gone as high as the 3rd, and I've mentioned that on the show. You know, he's 6'5". He's won at a high level. Took a team that hadn't won, and they won with him at quarter. Those kind of things are important. So I'm going to say 4th round because of the injury that he's coming off of. And anytime you have somebody coming off of an ACL, it's always dicey, which leads into the whole Sam Darnold thing, you know, with J.J. McCarthy coming off of a major injury. And so I think that will hurt him a little bit. I just watched Alec, the receiver from Stanford, and, you know, he's a really interesting player. He does a lot of things well. He's very smooth, runs well, make the tough catch. I think he could go as early as the 2nd round. I really do. I think he's a quality guy. Yeah.
He's a stud. By the way, I will ask you the viewer questions, then I have a bunch of my own. BW, he is from Edmonton. He's currently trucking through Saskatchewan. He says, Coach Barker, what have you heard about the labor issues in the United Football League? Are they going to strike?
You know, I think it's still up in the air. The quarterbacks basically struck during the quarterback mandatory mini camps they had. They are in camp right now. Interesting story. I mean, I hadn't ever seen this happen, but Toronto signed a player named Ryan Cole from Richmond, an offensive lineman, and he had been with Indianapolis, got hurt, was on injured reserve. Well, they signed him, and then the next day they cut him, which I thought was weird. And then it came out that he got cut by the Colts. So I thought, okay, maybe he was still under contract. They didn't know it or whatever. And so they would sign him right back. But no, they didn't. He ended up going to the UFL and signed with the St. Louis Battlehawks. And so they're in training camp, and the Argos lost a player that they had under contract to the UFL. Now, there'll be some guys like that because this is a youngster. He's a 6'5" tackle, spent 1 year with the Colts. You know, he's that kind of guy is the guy that goes to the UFL. And but their labor strike is real. They have a union. And again, the UFL is, yeah, they're owned by Fox, but how much money does Fox want to put into it? They're asking for, you know, obviously more money. That's the crux of it. And quarterbacks were making $50,000, and I think they bumped them a little bit. So I think it's still a big question mark as to whether they'll play. But, you know, regardless, I hope they do play because it does give guys an opportunity to play, and coaches don't lose jobs right this time of the year, which is no fun. I've had that happen where, you know, you lose your job in May. What do you do? I mean, when Vince McMahon pulled the plug on us in the XFL, the original XFL, it was in May. And he said, we'll pay you for one more month. Well, you know, it was like we ended up getting a full year because they just didn't understand. I mean, you have coaches who moved across the country and on his word that the thing would be there for 3 years. So it's a tough time. So any UFL coaches that get cut, I feel for those guys because they'll stop the league and stop paying them. And, you know, that's the thing people forget about. I mean, so I hope they work it out for those guys. I would like to see that happen. But the UFL, they're in training camp. They kick off March 25th or 6th, I believe. And, yeah, that'll be interesting.
The fans have no idea. And with regards to the players are the currency of the leagues. And my point on this is somebody wrote in the other day and said, will the Canadian U.S. dollar affect Americans coming to the CFL? And stick with me, Jim. I've been doing this a long time, and I've been really close with players over the years. We've had a worse weakened dollar than this, and I never heard the players complain about it. I didn't. They just want to play. I don't think it will affect them, but maybe you have a different take on that.
No, I agree with you. When I came in the league, I don't even remember, it was way down. And you don't, when you're thinking about, I'm going to play pro football, and yeah, the dollar isn't the same, but I'll be able to handle it. And that gives, back in the day, it gave Calgary and Edmonton huge advantage because of the tax differences, and you can actually put more in your jeans and that kind of thing. So, I think it's a problem. The UFL is there. Those guys are going to make $50,000, which is, maybe that's the same thing. Maybe that's the equivalent of whatever the dollar's at now. I know it's down, but it's down as low as it's been in a long time. It's just an interesting question as to, what how does that affect the Vladdy Guerrero? How does that affect, the difference in dollar? How does that affect it? Because they're collecting revenue in Canadian dollars and trying to convert it at the same rate that the Houston Astros convert it. And I've just always felt like, wow, how can they? That's a losing battle, you would think. Same thing with the Raptors and anybody competing with the American teams.
You know what it is? Tax accountants, and trust me, I know a lot. They're like walking away from pro athletes. They're like, I don't want to do your taxes. This is crazy. It's insane. There's a lot of parallels between the CFL and NFL, as you know, and I see the Cowboys redoing deals with Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. It reminded me of the BC Lions restructuring their deal with Nathan Rourke and all the variety of them. And to me, I'm a Cowboys fan and a long-suffering Cowboys fan. I say Jerry hasn't figured out yet how to do this. Do you know what I mean? When a team restructures a deal, can you take us behind that and what goes into that?
Well, basically what you have to do is you have to say two things. One is, do they need help now? Like, they may have needed help last year with their cap, so they do Dak Prescott, redo him, give him less, and then give him more. We'll use a CFL example of Flo Arimolade. Okay, he went into last year with the Argos, and the Argos were pushing the cap number. So they got him to renegotiate his deal and then made it up in a February or January 15th or February 1st bonus. Now, that's common. That gets them under the cap, and it allows the player to still get his money. Well, what ended up happening was he played the year for the less money. Then the Argos traded him, prior to that coming due, which then it fell on Calgary to make that difference up. The player still ended up getting what, he was what was in his original contract. So it depends on why you're renegotiating, or if you're just trying to extend. If you're trying to extend, again, there's a price. Every year you get on a player, there's a price for that. The CFL is a little different. There's nothing guaranteed in the CFL. Although now you can guarantee a half of their last year. And that's coming up with a couple of contracts. I think Zach Collaros, he's got half of his contract guaranteed. So if he was decided to retire, okay, he's still going to get that. And so that's kind of one of the differences in the CFL now than when I was in it, is they do have that guarantee in it. So like with Jerry Jones, what he's trying to do is give his organization and the players in the locker room the feeling of, we're going to take care of our players. It's what the Bengals, they're going to do with Jamar Chase. I mean, I know Joe Burrow was complaining. He said, we don't do what other teams do, which is set us up for the future. Our players come in and just want to be paid the going rate, and they're not getting that. So they're leaving and going elsewhere. The Bengals were rated last amongst all the teams in terms of travel and some of the they do the thing of where they grade facilities and training room and all those things. Well, the Bengals graded really, really low. And then, so why would a player stay there? If all the extra things are low and they're not going to give me what I can get if I go down the street, then why wouldn't I go down the street? So when you're negotiating those kind of deals, you have to say, what is this player value to us? And for example, Jamar Chase is huge for the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay. He may not be near as important to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. Because of the style they do, because of Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase have a relationship that it's important to Joe Burrow that Jamar Chase is there. That adds value to him. So where they might offer him $25 million with the Joe Burrow thing, maybe they go to $30 million. So there's little factors like that. That to me that's what a GM's job is. What is a player's value to your organization? And when I see like in the CFL where they pay a guy, they paid Robbie Smith $260,000 to go to Edmonton. Okay. Now it's easy for me to say, wow, I think that's exorbitant for a guy who I think he's at his best when he's a special teams player and can play 15 snaps. You're getting a quality best in the league. But when he's a starter, he's not going to be in that category. That's just his strength is the fact he can do both. So is that worth that much money? Well, to the Edmonton Elks, it was very much worth that money. To 8 other teams, it may not be. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. And that's the thing that I think people have to understand. When they go out and sign a player, okay, Flo Arimolade, shoot him, man, when he got 230 or 40, and I mean, he's undersized, he's 5'11", defensive end, and I didn't see it until I was with him. And that year I was with him and I saw what he brings to the locker room, what he brings to the players around him was worth every penny of that. And that's the thing that's why if you haven't coached a player, if you haven't had him in your locker room, you don't know his value. Jake Seresna made a lot of money this year. Those guys know him. They had, Ed had him in Edmonton originally, and they felt like it was worth the amount of money they paid him. So every player's value is going to vary on the team, and every team has to establish the value on the players. That's the great thing about being a GM is that's what your job is. What is his value to what we're trying to do based on the coaching staff? And that's where there's a lot of problems too, is a lot of times to the front office, this is what his value is. To the coaching staff, his value maybe isn't quite as much, and they have to get that on the same page. I think you look at the Raiders, I think they've had that issue. Now, they just gave Max Crosby, made him the highest paid non-quarterback in football. Now, there'll be people in the league who say, wow, Max Crosby, I don't know if he's the guy that I would do that with. But to the Raiders, and they've had him, and they understand his importance, it is that. So, again, I think it's one of those things that every team is different. The Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones, who knows what they feel is important in signing players. They felt CeeDee Lamb was important, that they should tell their players, we're going to take care of you.
Yeah. Why? That's why I still stick with that. They don't know what they're doing, and history would show that they don't. But, in Sask, Brendan Taman, this is the relationship we had. I don't know if you ever worked with Brendan Taman anywhere in your travels, but for the 2013 season when we were hosting the Grey Cup, he showed me the deals that we're doing. And he was like, Chris Getzlaff, John Chick, Weston Dressler, all you guys, I'm going to pay you this low amount this year. But on paper here, we're going to, this big balloon amount. He wrote it down for me. This big balloon amount next year just to get you all under the cap. And that's how we had that all-star team. Trouble was, next year or the year after, he gets fired. You want to know why they all hate Chris Jones in Saskatchewan? Jones comes in and cuts them all.
Exactly.
And the guys,
that's right.
And Jones was, they were like, you owe it. We have a contract. Jones was like, I didn't sign it. Oh, boy. Why did I open that can of worms?
That's the CFL, and that's football. I mean, it's like Sam Darnold. What is Sam Darnold's value to the Minnesota Vikings? Okay, if I'm the Minnesota Vikings, his value is going to be whatever I have to pay him to make sure he comes back to us. I think he would lean to coming back. because of knowing the coach and things like that. But to the Viking organization, to go into it, to be where you were a game away from going to the Super Bowl, and then to go back and have a rookie quarterback and a guy that, has basically coming off an injury and say, this is your team. I think that's it just doesn't make sense. And I don't think it's fair to the fans and that type of thing. So I think that's why the Sam Darnold thing will be interesting, because I do believe if I'm in the Vikings organization, I'm going to give him what he needs so that we can come out next year and our fans believe we're a game away.
Oh, my God, Jim, we could go on forever. Then why didn't they franchise tag him if he was worth that much? The figure I heard, if they had, would have been 35 to 40 million. That's a lot, though.
That is a lot.
For Sam Darnold.
That is a lot. And they probably felt like we can probably get him for around maybe 28, 25 mil. We can get him for less. He's going to come here for less because he knows the situation. His relationship with the other players, with the coaches is great. Blah. So there's value in that from the players' side. So they probably felt like we don't have to pay him that in order to get him to re-sign. So again, those are the things. I don't even know who they franchised, but they can only franchise one guy. And obviously they felt like somebody else was there that they needed to do that with. And again,
sure.
I would say if I was them, I would say we can get him for less than $35 million.
Jim, wonderful chat. Great chat. Have a great week, and we'll chat with you next week.
All right. I hope you're in a better mood next week. You were sour at the beginning today.
I'm ready for the weekend.
Like you.
I'm ready for the weekend.
How about that?
All right.
Thanks, Jim. You put a smile on my face. He's turned my frown upside down. We'll be back in a moment with a sports update and viewer takeover. We're live on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hour 2 is for EMJ Marketing. Transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information at emjmarketing.com. As promised, it's just you and me the rest of the way. I can fill it with reading sports updates if you want. I'd rather converse with you, however. Clark, have we found out who's going the other way in the Rantanen trade, who Carolina's getting from Dallas? We've heard Mikko Rantanen traded by the Carolina Hurricanes to the Dallas Stars today. What do you got? Have we heard? Oh, it is? Whoa. Okay, thank you. Logan Stankoven, 2 first-round picks, and more. But wait, there's more. And this was contingent on Rantanen signing an extension with the Stars, which apparently he has, at 8 years, average annual value $12 million. That was the big one. And listen, if we get it, I loved that football chat with Jim. That was amazing. I would assume you did too. But if you want to go hockey the rest of the way on this NHL trade deadline day, I'm down for that too. I'm happy to be able to switch gears on the fly. The Winnipeg Jets. We have a lot of viewers in Winnipeg. They have acquired veteran defenseman Luke Schenn from the Pittsburgh Penguins for 2 draft picks ahead of the trade deadline. Winnipeg sending a 2nd pick next year and a 4th-round pick in 2027 to Pittsburgh. The Jets have also landed forward Brandon Tanev from the Seattle Kraken for a 2nd-rounder, according to multiple reports. The Pittsburgh Penguins flipped Schenn after acquiring him and forward Tommy Novak from the Nashville Predators for Michael Bunting in a 4th-rounder on Wednesday. Schenn did not play a game with Pittsburgh. The 35-year-old from Saskatoon has 1 goal and 4 assists in 61 games this season. The journeyman has been involved in several trades during his career, playing for 8 different NHL franchises. Schenn has 1 year remaining on his contract beyond this season at $2.75 million salary cap hit. The 33-year-old Tanev is a pending UFA. The Toronto product has 9 goals and 8 assists in 60 games this season. And here's the thing about Luke Schenn. You can't argue what he's done. He's won Stanley Cups with St. Louis and Tampa Bay. He's just a steady force back there. But he's been on bad teams in Vancouver and Arizona. The smart GMs know who the good players are. They just happen to be on bad teams. So those are just some of the traits. Oh, my doggies. Is there a lot going on this Friday taking you into the weekend? Hank, I'll continue that in a second, but from the text line, the Progressive Insurance text line, 902-518-3033. Switch to Progressive and you could save a bunch. El Sasco writes in. He says, Florida Father Pedersen. Solid ass show. Alert for myself and other Saskies. Y'all show starts an hour earlier on Monday. Daylight savings time can suck it. Signed, Brother Sasko. I don't know. Judging by the sound of that, Clark, are you happy that we're going an hour earlier in Sask in Arizona, or like Brother Sasko upset about it?
I like it.
Yeah. It has zero bearing on my life. I can tell you that. It's noon Eastern every day. But as we often say, as a gentleman who spent a half a century in Saskatchewan, a half a century, the world revolves around us. That's why we don't change our clocks. John Ohm, thank God he's got such a sense of humor. John Ohm. He took off after I said he's giving me anxiety, but he said, who's won the trade deadline? Ron in Calgary's answered the bell from the 403. He says the winners so far in trades, Ottawa, Tampa Bay, Winnipeg, and Dallas. You're forgetting Florida, where they got their moves done way ahead of this frantic activity at the end of the week. You know, and by the way, I was chatting with a football guy this morning. Hang on. With regards to eating by yourself, I said there's no shame in that. Somebody said, I saw a meme that said the boldest thing you can do in life is eat alone in a restaurant. I'm like, that's not even top 1,000 bold things you can do, bro. You clearly have not lived much of a life. Darcy in Grand Prairie says, I go to buffets by myself. I go out to eat by myself all the time. I like it. I talked about doing it tomorrow night at the new Earl's in Fort Lauderdale, where I will be ordering Hunan Kung Pao. Oh, my goodness, we're up against it for a break already. Well, I will just say this real fast. I said to Jim Barker, how do you feel about restructured deals? He so eloquently answered that question. I'm not as eloquent. That's why I think I'm not referred to as management material. But he very eloquently said teams that are restructuring deals, I'll break it down for you, what he said. I'll paraphrase. They're teams that didn't think ahead. They're last-minute Larrys. And that is the Cincinnati Bengals. It must have been a miracle that they got to the Super Bowl then. I'm with Jim on that. He just said it more diplomatically than I can. You look at these teams that are restructuring deals, waiting for the last minute to get the deals done, like the morning of your week 1 game, Dallas. Like, really? You're not planning ahead. And that's the crux that we carry as Cowboys fans. I see it here with the Panthers. Bill Zito gets everything done. He's got everybody locked up long term. Paul Maurice, he did in the middle of the season, right? So you don't have to worry. You don't have to have that anxiety as the player, as the coach, as the broadcaster, as the damn trainer. The last-minute Larrys are the losers of sports and life. We'll be right back with Overtime. Let's have a great one. 902-518-3033 in the Progressive Insurance text line. We're live on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Overtime is brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes. As you see on the screen, Randy and Michelle run a family-run business over there at 28th Street, Northeast Calgary, and they invite you to come on down and achieve your hockey goals at Overtime Hockey Lanes, where skill and fun collide. I call it an amusement park for hockey players of all ages. Last time I was there, Randy was down playing mini sticks with the kids. Sorry, Randy. I just had to tell him. With his own adult-sized knee pads, sort of like the ones you see roofers wear. He was prepared. Big kid, that Randy, over at Overtime Hockey Lanes. Tell him the RP Show sent you. I could sit here and do a sports update, which we will do. We're contractually obliged to do one for Heavy Jim. But I also would like to just talk with you, the viewers. Rob is watching in Yorkton from the Garlic Belt. He says, Rob here, great show as usual, Reverend Rod. Where have all the good Canadian-born goaltenders gone? The Q used to be a goalie factory. Now you can't even pronounce their names. Well, listen, that's not something I need to answer for. I can tell you this. I know a lot of goaltender specialized coaches that are figuratively pulling their hair out because they feel like it's a reflection on them. Where are the Canadian goalies? I'll tell you, I was obviously with Sergei Bobrovsky this week. It's on my social media. You can see it. Russian. Won last night with a shutout at Columbus. I was there. And Bob moved into a tie with Tony Esposito for 10th all-time wins in the NHL. And now that I think about it, I got to go back and look at I have the list. I got this from the NHL this morning. I don't have the answer for where the Canadian goalies are gone. Ask the coaches, man. It's not good. But here's the list of your top. I think you might be the first Lundqvist. Number 1, Marty Brodeur. Number 2, Marc-Andre Fleury. 3, Patrick Roy. 4, Roberto Luongo. 5, Ed Belfour. 6, Henrik Lundqvist. The first Euro on the list. 7, Curtis Joseph, who I just saw here last week at a game. Terry Sawchuk, Jacques Plante, Sergei Bobrovsky, Tony Esposito. Bob and Tony are tied for the same amount of wins, but Lundqvist and Bob are the only Europeans, and they're moving on up. It's a question we ask repeatedly in hockey and don't get many answers from the audience. John Ohm, you're back. Oh, dude. He says the Keg had the best salad bar. Did they ever? Probably the safest, too. Bonanza's was pretty good. John Ohm says, I miss the days of Bonanza and Ponderosa. It's also interesting you say that because as my 12-step sponsor, Bob, said the other day, he goes, everybody wants 10 years ago. And that is a fact, Jack. But that's not happening. So what I can say in the recovery world, if this will help, is at some point you need to let go of what you think it should have been and live in what is. It makes a world of difference in your life. You're welcome. What I'm doing. People are writing in. Oh, yeah, Jeff the Stamps fan says salad bars. You don't see those often anymore. I think there's a reason for that that we won't get into. Right, Rob from Wellington, Florida? A food guy. So here's what's up. We did our NHL picks earlier for the night. Shy in Saskatchewan writes, and he says, great show, Rod. Love ribbing you on the Eagles. At least, Shy, I appreciate you tuning in every day. And I legitimately don't like Eagles fans. They're the most annoying in football. And that includes Rider fans. I can at least admit where we are in that. We did the picks. Major League Baseball. The Blue Jays at the Yankees tonight. Doesn't that just... At Steinbrenner Field in Tampa. NBA, the Raptors have Utah in town tonight. And I'm pretty excited. Speaking of Wellington, Florida, I'm going to be up there for flag football events, USA flag football events on Saturday. And then we got a big 7-on-7 tournament hosted by the Cardinal Gibbons Chiefs on Saturday. That's high school age players. And just so you know, these guys are basically college players. So it's going to be a lot of football this weekend, and I'm looking forward to it because I love it at all weekend, at all levels. Thank you, BWU, as well. See you Monday, everybody.
McFly, hello.